joining us, already in progress. I have this one done, the closed exhaust done, and I did exactly what I thought I would do, which is glue, I'll take this tube, glue the exhaust part to the tube, slide the tube forward, make sure that's glued together, and then once that's together, we take the whole assembly and slide it in just like that. So let's take a look. This one is already done. It just slides straight in. When I glue this assembly to the body, these parts are both plastic, so I can use liquid cement, Tamiya cement, which I don't care, but I don't care as much around this gap here, because that's actually one of the few things, one of the few lines that has to be filled when building this kit. So I can glue that there, that's just fine. But around the rest of it, what I don't want to do is get any glue, and I've done this several times where I'll use a little bit of cement, let it dry, or at least think I let it dry enough, and then I get a little spotch of cement over the top. So I don't have to repaint these re-weathers and do that. I just want to get it in. So maybe I will only glue it here and use a little bit of white glue on the back side, something like that, that'll wipe away. In the meantime, I need to glue the second half here. So to do that, I've got super thin that I'm using. I'm going to take my an old airbrush needle in this gap here, but I'm not having very good luck. It worked. What I had to do is basically take my needle, get that, and work from the inside. So that is slightly attached, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour down some super glue to the inside of this. I'm just going to take a couple big drops. The glue will flow itself down the needle and just spread it around a little bit. And, uh-oh, this top part came off. What I absolutely can't have happen is glue along the edge, which I got. So we're going to put that up. No damage seen. As long as this all stays together, we're good. We've got this one, we've got this one, and we're ready to attach them to the body. Well, some success, some not so much. I managed to get this glued in. I went ahead and used a fair amount of Tamiya extra thin on here just to kind of work with filling the gap initially. Unfortunately, this joint was pretty weak, so this exhaust piece came off. I kind of had a feeling that it might be just because it's so little to do there. Right, it's engine number 2 time to attach. See here, we got the first one on. Now for the second one, because I switched from the Catran parts to the kit part, slots here and on the top here, cut those off because I was going to use resin, which was going to be a butt joint. So now what I've done is I've grabbed some sheet styrene, made myself a little ledge, as you can see here on the back, so that when I take this part now, it slides right on. Put that on there, and boom. Just like that, it fits all the way around. Before I attach this exhaust, I'm going to do a little bit more detail work with, and I got it on my hands, damn it, Tamiya panel liner. I'm just going to flow in these recesses a little bit of black. I'm trying to be precise about it as I go. I don't want to get rid of the underlying dark gray that I have here. Quick video today on the MCC Minicraft Collection GRU-7A ejection seat, and this is 4808. This is for early production. It says AB, but this is actually just an A early production airplane, and the reason being, when we open this up and check this out, is these have ribbed cushions. The first seats that they did, the second ones have the later cushion and I think are better shaped. but these are pretty good to begin with. So what we get is 2. I already went ahead and did a little work. I'm just using, again, my old set of Tamiya nippers. They're kind of, the blades at this point is dulled, so I don't use them for sprues. I just use them for this, and it's really as simple as that. Get a good look at it here. I'm going to be using some Surfacer Black from SMS. Got that in the 0.2 airbrush. And this stuff really does cover beautifully. I was going to pin it down with just a touch of Mr. Leveling Thinner, but I just decided to do it straight out of the bottle. One of the things with ejection seats is there's so many different levels and layers and cracks and crevices that you got to really work your way in to get all of it. All right, not bad for the first layer. I decided to go Mr. Metal Chrome Silver with a touch of Rapid thinner on it. Here we go. Let's see what happens. It's like shot out of a cannon. All right, well, that's what we got. Well, fuck. Grabbed it. It's not terribly bad damage, but all right, there it is painted. Let's set it off to the side by itself and hope to God this works. All right, so I went ahead and tried and painted the yellow stripes. I used RLM 79. One of the hardest things I have is that so many of the products have bright yellow, and I have never seen ejection seats with bright yellow. So I wanted to try and go as dark and dirty as possible. Honestly, I just leave them black half the time. But let's see if we can get the tape off and see how this did. They're still too big, stripe-wise, but it's the best I could do with this tape. So we may have to cut the tape thinner. The other option would be to use some Ann's yellow decal striping. All right, and we have a result that's actually not bad. Unfortunately, the tape wasn't down tight enough in some spots over here. But overall, that's actually pretty good. Ta-da! As we were painted, what I used was my Infinity Cutting Mat. This is 0.4 millimeters. They work great. They're still a little bit too big for me, but I don't want to do anything too far off. So what I did was I put the tape half over the 0.4, and what I got down here was 0.2 millimeters with tape. However, trying to get that to wrap around these handles is just insanity. There's not enough stick on this tape to be able to get going. Even I tried everything I could. So today's tip, hopefully this is something new. I don't think I've seen anybody do this. This wire and a string of it out of here. That's probably a good amount. We'll just start with this. And we are going to thread a mask for our ejection handles here. And I'm just going to stick this in and wrap. Basically, it's going to kind of go just like that. And I'm going to wrap it around. We're going to see what happens. All right, well, the wire idea is a little more complicated than I thought. We're going to figure that out another time. In the meantime, I'm back to the tape, which is fine. And it's just tedious. You get the idea. That's the start of it. I'll show you what it is later. I painted this one yellow, which I'm kind of regretting. It chips off the paint too easily. I think we're gonna have to start with black and do it the other way around, but I'm gonna continue on here. In the future, MCC and Edward, any of the aftermarket companies that make these parts, print this in black resin, please. That is masked. In this case, we masked the yellow, paint the black. I wanted to show this unmasking, but I just was kind of impatient and the battery died. So now I am pulling off the, there we go, the liquid mask where I masked the red. So lessons learned right away on this. Always start with black paint and then mask the yellow. You can see I use much smaller tape, but had I used painted black on the bottom, I would have liked these little yellow stripes. Trick now is I don't think these look similar enough to go on the same airplane. So I really don't want to repaint and remask. I mean, that literally just took, oh God, I probably spent more than an hour doing one of them. So I may have to pull another set and just do a new one between 0.4 and 0.2 millimeter masking tape. Okay, for the early IRST, we have to mask the sensor on the front, and I used Tamiya 1 millimeter tape. Looks great. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go gloss black on this. It definitely has a metallic silver sheen to it, and I thought about using Mr. Colors, Mr. Metallic Black, but I think in this case, gloss black, maybe with a touch of a silver drop or something. All right, changed my mind. Decided to go with metal black. Let's see what happens. I'm kinking the pressure up to about 18 psi. It's looking like kind of dark gray. Okay, got a couple cuts on here. It's dark, it looks good, but it doesn't have that really black look that I'm going for. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw clear black on it after it dries, and then very possibly just gloss coat the crap out of it. Right. So once again, we find ourselves at a point in time where I have to evaluate what my time is like, what my time is worth, what the end result will be worth, and what's going to happen. You know, at some point you're just like, I want to get it done. It's good enough. No one will ever know, that type of thing. But there are those points, and I think this is probably the, I don't know, third or fourth 100th time in this project where I've decided where, nope, it needs to be better and I need to fix it. And this one here, I used SMS Aqua Future on it, we talked about earlier, but Future kind of pooled down here. If I flip it over the backside, it's just not clear enough. So pulled out another canopy. I grabbed flying leathernecks, vinyl. Unfortunately, this is one of the older sheets that all shrunk. What I can do is I can take this section, cut it out, go to the inside of my windscreen. We're going to take our canopy here, and we're going to set this up. We need to make sure that it covers part of the frame. All right, there we go. We're going to burnish that down, mask up the rest of the canopy, and see what happens next. We're going acrylic, folks. I'm going Tamiya clear and green. There you go, some blue, some green. I'm also going to drop in some X22. The idea is that I don't want to just thin the paint, because then it ends up being really just thin. What I want to do is keep something that has the color, but has base to it as well. 60-70% X20A. Mix it up. If I was really smart, I would actually find a way to make a bottle of this and save it. You know what? I may actually just go buy extra bottles of Tamiya clear blue and green, mix them up a little bit, and do just that. So there you go. That is a, holy crap, that's exactly the color I want. I like that a lot. Moment of truth. Stand by, folks. Because this could get bumpy. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. As you can see there, we got like some ripples there. That's sucking ass. I got nothing to say because it looks like shit. And it looks like I just screwed up another one. High piano Q-tip worked great. It's cut off. So somehow when I am spraying it, it's pooling out. So we're just going to try it again. Actually, I don't think we have any paint in there right now. So let's load up a little more paint. And there it is, bubbled up again. Well, maybe leveling thinner would have been the way to go. You know, it's kind of flashing off. I'm wondering if maybe Oh boy, the use of X-22 clear was the bad. I have no fucking clue. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking. That was a disaster all the way around. Well, not a disaster, but unsuccessful. So there we go. X20 thinner. I painted this thing 4 freaking times, washed it off every single time, and we're back to square one. Well, the score is tied. It's the bottom of the ninth. It's time for the big one. We're going to go with armored glass. I've had good luck with this before. We're going to go all-clad armored glass. And thanks to some guys online who said mist it on and then go over it with a mist coat of Mr. Leveling Thinner. We're going to try exactly that. I got 14 PSA. I got the airbrush loaded. And ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Mist coat. So you know what? If something's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Let's mist on a little bit more. I can see that color building up in there. Oh God, I hope that little piece of dust was on the outside. Nope, it's on the inside. I put on some leveling thinner, and it almost it looks a little rippled in the video, but it just kind of leveled it out. Real nice and easy. Boom. Let that sit. I'm not going to touch it. This is the windscreen. Again, this is painted with all-clad armor glass. About 3 or 4 passes, just misted on, and then misted on some Mr. Leveling Thinner. It did a beautiful job. You can see it is lightly tinted, which is what I was going for. I don't want it to be heavy. Look at the real thing. It's very subtle. And boom, clear as glass. Ooh, actually, we got something fun to put on the inside of the windscreen, and that is going to be parts for the windscreen. Designed again by Mike Pister. There's a good look at it right there. Let's move on to masking the canopy. You can see here, this back part is lined up exact, and as we come forward, there is a good chunk of space missing at the front, and certainly you can see a whole lot of that glass is not covered, which means that the vinyl shrunk. So this set, maybe when it was first printed it worked, but it's been sitting in the stash for a little while, and it's completely worthless. Anyone who makes vinyl sets, just stop. Please stop making vinyl sets. Do it in whatever you want to call it, Tamiya tape, washi tape, whatever that substance is. That stuff does not shrink like vinyl does. It all goes in the garbage. I'm going to strip this off, and we're going to go find ourselves a tape-based set. This is the Res Kit set. Edward also makes a great one with the tape paper. I've got several of those. It just happened to, every time I order from Res Kit, it seems like these are on sale, so they're about $5, maybe $6. Pick up a set. What I didn't realize, and this is pretty cool, is when you look at the instructions, they have the exterior mask, which is what we normally use, and then they have interior mask for both the windscreen and the entire canopy so that you can paint this black area inside and don't have to use the old trick where you paint the interior color black basically on the outside, and then on top of that paint the camouflage color. So that's pretty cool. It's something actually I didn't even know when I got the sets, and now that I have them, I'm pretty excited. It looks really nice. I'm going to give it a 98 out of 100. Unfortunately, this is M9. This is the front windscreen piece. This bottom part is not 100% flat or parallel to the windscreen. So if you line it up, I did the first one lining up at the top, and as it came down, this area here had a little bit of an angle. I went ahead, removed it, replaced it. See how well we can see it. So now this is flat and perfectly fit. As this side comes up, over here, there's just a little bit of a gap all along down here to just about here. I'm going to go ahead and live with it. I'm just going to leave it as is. If I were to cut these out of the Tamiya sheet, I don't know that I can actually do much better. The other thing is in these corners, the curves, the cuts are not entirely smooth, but they do fit the panes really well, and I think that's going to be good enough for government work. Okay, while we're here, because those are clear parts, I'm just taking some super fine sandpaper here, and I'm giving it a light swipe just to help with adhesion. I used SMS Surfacer Black. I love the SMS paints, as we've talked about a lot here, but I haven't had a lot of great luck with the Surfacer. You can see it just has a very flat, gritty surface. I switched from the 0.2 to the 0.3, thinking I'd get a wider needle there. Same result. The airbrushes are clean, the paint's put away, and I am impatient. I want to check the, holy no, oh my God. This, folks, this is why you do not paint with other parts nearby. I thought I was covered. There are green dots. Holy shit. Here, 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 and up there from, I don't think it's overspray. I think it's just being flicked from this thing. Oh my God. What was I thinking? Talk about steps backwards. That white on the top is going to be really hard to clean up. Fuck me. Well, good news, bad news. I took my trusty little toothpick here, Q-tip, before it got dried, and I just rubbed, and most of it came off. But as you can see, unfortunately, I touched this decal and ripped the decal off. So, what's the bigger disaster? Paint spill on it? This is actually still going to need some work. Or the fact that I either need to strip this entire decal or repair that red. Either way, pretty pissed off at myself. So I'm going to take a walk and come back and figure it out. And another reason why we have plenty of spares. I encourage every one of you out there, when you buy a sheet, buy at least two, maybe a third, a real one, a spare one, and a collection one or a secondary spare one. So we're going to cut a little piece of the red and try and fix that. I think we have a crisis averted. So using this little tiny piece that we cut out from our spares, went ahead and placed it on here using super fine tweezers, at least the best I got, and a bent airbrush needle. So using that, we placed it right here, a little bit of mark fit strong. You can see, if we zoom in, where the fix was made, but in normal looking space, I think it's gonna pass. I was just trying to save removing the entire decal, because removing this whole thing, placing these below where the metal goes and just below where the rudder is. So there's just such a fine, specific, precise placement. I didn't want to mess with that. All right, fine little details to deal with here today. One, I forgot about dealing with the handhold here. This on these jets is black. I do have the Fighter Town sheet. Fortunately, when I did the artwork, I didn't measure that out very well, and the black just isn't quite correct. So what we're going to do here, because I have this decal on here, and my experience is tape pulls up decals, I am just going to literally hand hold a piece of tape or a piece of paper over this like that. I'm using Cark Black from SMS. I can show you the bottom in a second. And I am simply going to stupidly not put on a glove. And it looks like, there we go. That's it, just like that. And we can pull this off, looks like pretty much right away. And there you go. On today's episode of the VX-4 F-14A Tamiya build, here we go. I realized I don't have a masking set that would cover the front here for the anti-glare panel. So I took my trusty Shadow Hobby thinner line circle cutter. What I did was took my Tamiya tape, my circle cutter, cut a couple of test circles, found the right spot. This is the result here. This will require some pretty fine airbrushing. I don't want to put tape down over the decals because I haven't clear coated them yet. So. Okay, here we go. Super flat black. I went ahead and masked up a little bit more just to protect it and blow it off. Whoa. This is one of the issues that I have with MRP is it shoots so thin, but once we build that up, we should be able to cover that just fine. Well, it's looking pretty good. Trying to keep the airbrush really close so we get no overspray anywhere. All right, there we go. That looks pretty good. One thing to note, and I thought about this as soon as I turned on the airbrush, was we still have to glue this piece on. And in doing that, we will have some, well, look at that. Forgot to mask the gray. Time out. We got to mask the gray. We'll be right back. And here is the result when we take the masking off. And it's not perfect. I'm going to glue this on, and once I do that, right along here, that panel line is there on the real airplane, but when you look really closely to the rest of the airframe, because it is a piece that fits in there, it just has, it's a little different. It's a little thicker. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of Mr. Surfacer across the top in there, wipe it off with some IPA, and then respray, I guess. And it's not bad, but it's just not perfect. There is a tiny bit of overspray over here that you can see. Other than that, I like the way it came out. In the future, I will probably put this on and paint it all at once. And continuing our good news, bad news for the day. This came off while I was doing the black. So I think the only option here is to strip off this entire decal on both sides. This time, once I do put those decals on, it's going to be an immediate seal them with gloss coat. All right, we painting here. So what I've already done here is I've masked off this ladder a little bit because I started with white and then we hit the red side. All I want to do is get the sides here. Moving right along, in today's kind of tip a little bit is we're going to use Ammo MIG anti-slip paste, and we're doing this on the boarding ladder. This is the Cocopelli ladder we painted last time. So what we're going to do here is take our anti-slip paste. We've got a brush that I've whittled down to be a little bit softer. We are going to come right along and add anti-skid on the boarding ladder. What I do like about this, it's basically just thick acrylic paint, but it's water soluble, so we can wash it off if need be. And we are just lightly dabbing it on here to be everywhere because anti-skid does wear off. And usually you just put this on and then kind of dab at it. The trick is not to brush it so it doesn't look like it's been brushed on. Now that the ladder is done, you can see it here, the front and the back. We do have a little bit of excess. You can see right here. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to take a little cap of warm water, since this is water soluble, and we're just going to come in here and wipe it away. Just like that. All right, it's time to do another detail part, and I'm starting with quick boost set right here. Boarding steps. I'll be honest with you, model on details out of Peru, Manuel's new company, has a beautiful set, and I'm going to show those later, of 3D printed one-piece boarding ladder plus the bays. But for this, they require cutting out the boarding step area, and because we're already that far along on this one, I'm not able to use it, so I'm going to use these that have been in the stash. Real simple 2 parts We got Pilot Rio photo etch. Yeah, that's a good amount of glue. This is the rear. I'm going to take this and we're literally just going to put them together just like that. And that's one. And that's what the boarding ladders for this jet will look like. Let's paint them up and non-skid them next.